in a courtroom drowned in silence. Names are called, but no one answers. One by one, homes are lost, and justice moves without mercy. This is not just a hearing. It's the sound of lives collapsing behind the judge's calm voice.
Mara Gaines, Cortez Cunningham, Sierra Cunningham, Kiara Cunningham, or Curtis Cunningham, or any resident of 1324 Concord Drive. If you've dialed in on the telephone, it's *6 to unmute. Okay. Hearing no response. I'm seeing that there was personal service on Curtis Cunningham, but delivery to a member of the defendant's household on everybody else. There was no second mailing. I am adjourning this matter to next Wednesday. That's October 29th, 2025. That will be at 8:30.
In courtroom after courtroom, silence tells the story. Names are called, but no one answers. Justice moves forward, even when hearts stay behind.
$554.
Okay. Now calling 25C3991. This is Huron Heights and Huron Ridge versus Lucretia Braswell.
E. Bronlick on behalf of the plaintiff.
Thank you. Do I have Lucretia Braswell or any residents of 526 Belmont Drive? If that's you or your address, unmute and tell me that you're here. If you dialed in on the telephone, it's *6 to unmute. Hearing no response. There was no second.
Each case, a different name, but the same fate. Rent unpaid, promises broken, and the law stands unmoved.
To the best of your information, knowledge, and belief.
Yes, I do.
Lucretia Braswell, 526 Belmont Drive. Hearing no response. As I stated, personal service. So do you have any motions, Attorney Bronlick?
I move for a default judgment. We currently have rent to retain in the amount of $754. Other money due, which consists of utilities and late fees, totaling $327. Court costs of $163 for a balance of $1,244. We would request that a writ be issued in 10 days if that amount is not paid in full, or if the defendant does not vacate the premises. This would be...
Default judgments fall one after another, not out of cruelty, but out of consequence. The courtroom waits for no one.
Thank you. At this time, the court is willing to enter a default judgment for possession only, the total amount to retain being $1,244. There is a pay or vacate date of November 3rd. No writ to issue without a written hearing as that amount falls below the judge's $1,500 threshold. Now calling 25C3992, Huron Heights and Huron Ridge versus Latrina Britt.
Brittany Bronlick on behalf of the plaintiff.
Thank you. Do I have Latrina Britt, or any resident of 420 Alston Court? Once again, *6 to unmute if you dialed in. Hearing no response. I see that there was personal service in this matter, although the second mailing did not go out. So, do you have any motions?
Yes, we would move for a default judgment for possession only. We have rent to retain in the...
Behind every empty screen and muted microphone lies a story of struggle, delay, and decisions that can't be undone.
$69. Court costs of $163 for a balance of $2,295. Would request for writ to be issued in 10 days if that amount is not paid in full, or if the defendant does not vacate the premises. To my knowledge, the defendant is not incompetent, is not a minor, and is not in the active military service.
At this time, the court is willing to enter a default judgment for possession only, the total amount to retain being $2,295 with a pay or vacate date of November 3rd.
Thank you.
Now calling 25C3998, Huron Heights and Huron Ridge versus Nissan Jones.
Brittany Bronlick on behalf of the plaintiff.
Thank you. Do I have Nissan Jones or any resident of 12?
The judge doesn't raise his voice, but his words carry weight. Every sentence decides a home, a family, a future.
Service. So although the second mailing did not go out, do you have any motions?
Yes, we would move for a default judgment for possession only. We have rent to retain in the amount of $436. Other money due, which consists of utilities and late fees, totaling $242.05. Court costs of $163 for a balance of $841.05. Would request for a writ to issue in 10 days if that amount is not paid in full or if the defendant does not vacate the premises. I understand this is under the judge's threshold, so no writ to issue without a hearing. And to my knowledge, the defendant is not a minor, is not incompetent, or has not been declared incompetent, and is not in the active military service.
Thank you. At this time, the court is willing to enter a default judgment for possession only, the total amount to retain being $841.05.
For some, it's just another case number. But for the people behind those names, it's everything they have left.
4001 Huron Heights and Huron Ridge versus Tierra Page.
Brittany Brownlick on behalf of the plaintiff.
Do I have Tierra Page or any resident of 1288 Concord Drive? Hearing no response. There was no second mailing, however, there was personal service in this matter. Do you have any motions?
I would move for a default judgment for possession only. In this case, there is no rent due and owing. It is simply utilities and late fees, which totaled, so other money due of $243, court costs of $163 for a balance of $406. Would request for
Justice isn't personal, but it feels personal when your home hangs in the balance.
we'd be willing to set that aside due to that being a low balance. And we would request that a writ could be issued in 10 days if that amount is not paid in full or the defendant does not vacate the premises. To my knowledge, the defendant is not incompetent, not in the active military service, and is not a minor.
At this time, the court is willing to enter a default judgment for possession only, the total amount to retain being $406. There's a pay or vacate date of November 3rd. No writ to issue without a writ hearing, as that amount falls below the judge's threshold. Now calling 25C4008. This is Huron Heights and Huron Ridge versus Nakia Weatherspoon.
Brittany Brownlick on behalf of the plaintiff.
Do I have Nakia Weatherspoon or any resident of 609 Belmont Drive? That's you or your address.
In the eyes of the law, $400 or $4,000, it's not the number that matters. It's the responsibility left unpaid.
Nakia Weatherspoon, 609 Belmont Drive. Hearing no response. I see that there was personal service in this matter, so there was no second mailing. Do you have any motions?
That is correct. I will note there was a rather large payment that the defendant made on October 6th. She simply at this point owes $69 in utilities and court costs of $163. I think in this case, if we could just adjourn this 1 week, and I have a feeling that this will be paid off. I hate to take a judgment for just that due and owing at this point.
Was that 232 altogether?
Sorry, yes, 232.
Okay. So this matter will be adjourned to October 29th, 2025. That will be at 8:30 in the morning over Zoom in front of me.
Thank you. And assuming if this is paid off in full, we will file a dismissal.
Yes, please. I believe.
As the gavel falls and the day ends, the courtroom empties, but the echo of every decision still lingers, cold, final, and fair.